Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Gold with only version exclusive Pokemon was a really fun run. Let's follow that up with another awesome team run. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Fire Red with a team of only flying types. I hardly have to explain what's going on here, right? This one's about as simple as it can be. We can only use Pokemon that are at least part flying type. Kanto gives us quite a few options to pick from when it comes to flying types, and they're pretty evenly spread throughout the game, so this should be a fun run where we're constantly getting new Pokemon. We're probably going to have a lot more move overlap than usual, but it's a run where we're using a load of the same type of Pokemon, so it's to be expected. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use flying type Pokemon. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. Also, if you were wondering from last week if I ended up getting sick or not, I mean, I haven't yet, but I'm gonna be honest, my voice has been feeling pretty hoarse since I woke up this morning, and I think today might be my last day before I get proper sick, so I'm really trying to get this voiceover in. Hey, no need for the randomizer this time. The first flying type is on the first route of the game, so I may as well just go catch it, right? It's a Pidgey, of course. A very standard first catch for a lot of kids back in the day. Fun part is we don't just get to start with one Pokemon, because there's yet another one we can catch before the first gym. If you head out west, you can catch Spearow. I love this thing. I love that we can start with 2 Pokemon in this run. It sucks that they both have negative attack natures, but whatever, I'll roll with it. If anything, it'll make the early game harder. Maybe that'll make it more interesting. Now, mind you, just because we have 2 Pokemon doesn't mean that things are starting off easy. First gym is the Rock Gym, and they have Rock Tomb. Obviously, Rock beats Flying type, so unless the AI decides to hold off on super effective moves because it's an early game fight, we're probably in for a tough time. I know that Brock has some kind of special AI about not using Rock Tomb unless it'll finish you off, but he still will use it. We aren't going to learn any new moves that are going to make this any easier, so all we can do is level up against the easy bugs in the forest until we can brute force our way through the gym. I don't think that we'll have to evolve our team to win, but it's hard to say. Our birds evolve at level 18 and 20 respectively, so that might actually end up happening pretty early in the run. I'll get these guys to at least around Brock's level, and then we can give it a try and see how it goes. At level 14, I started making attempts at the Rock Gym. Geodude usually goes pretty well, although it's really slow. Then spam Fury Attack until he faints and hope that we don't take much damage along the way. The problem is that it takes 3 entire minutes, and then we have to fight Onix. It usually takes us out pretty easily because of Rock Tomb, but if you still have a lot of health left, then it'll use Tackle and Bind instead. Problem is that as you're building up sand attacks, he can hit Bind and it'll keep hurting you for quite a few turns. You still need to hit him way more than he hits you. I think I'll need to get Spearow to level 20 so it evolves. That'll give it a massive jump in its attack stat. Fun fact, Fearow and Pidgeot have almost the same stats, but Fearow becomes Fearow way sooner than Pidgeot becomes Pidgeot. Okay, so it took what felt like forever to hit level 20, but we've got Pursuit and a lot better stats, so now the gym is pretty easy. Onix was spamming Rock Tomb though. I've never seen him actually spam it. I guess just because our stats are so high that it knew Tackle wouldn't do enough. But normally Brock only uses Rock Tomb in this fight when he knows it'll be the finishing blow. I guess Brock AI is a little bit weird in every game though. You remember when I made that discovery in... I think it was a Bugs run in Pokemon Red, where I was trying to poison Brock's team just to find that he has something like 6 or 7 full heals. Like, when would you ever even discover that in normal gameplay? Brock's weird. Well, with that done, I put Fearow aside and get back to clearing trainers with Pidgey. It's gonna be a long time before it's on par with Fearow, so I may as well start early. The bad attack natures may suck, but these are still 2 of the better Pokemon we're getting in this run. Speaking of getting Pokemon, in Mount Moon, I went ahead and caught ourselves a Zubat. I don't think we can evolve it into a Crobat because that requires some kind of post-game Pokédex stuff, but we can still turn it into a Golbat, and that's good enough for me. It's a solid Pokemon. But on our way through, I took the Helix Fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone ask anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. You know, I kind of thought that one of our Pokemon would faint in the rival fight, but just using our level 22 Pidgeotto with Gust and Quick Attack was enough to not only beat his whole team, but while only losing half of our health in the process. Like, I knew we'd win, but that was pretty easy. That just means we can get to our next Pokemon, Farfetch'd. I actually get one of these in just about every red or fire red run anyway, because you can teach it both fly and cut, so it's good for HMs. It's going to be the lowest stats Pokemon on our entire team, but it has a held item that increases its crit chance, although it only works on Farfetch'd. Between that, it learning Slash, and it getting Swords Dance, it could end up being helpful. But if all else fails, then it'll be there for cut like usual, and maybe I can switch into it when I need to get rid of an attack drop from Intimidate or something. It still has its uses, even if it's a little bit of a dud. Speaking of cut, I'm doing the SSN early. Yeah, I failed the water gym fight earlier, it wasn't even worth showing. If she can out-heal us, then there really isn't anything that we can do. I figure the extra levels we get in here are gonna be enough to let us beat her though. I'll try the rival fight here first. If we're already here, then why not, right? We can do a little boss rush of the rival, the water gym, and the electric gym. I can't imagine that the electric gym is gonna go well, but we'll see. It's usually easy, but we'll see if it ends up being easy in a flying run. Well, unfortunately for our rival, Pidgeotto learned Wing Attack on the SSN, so we just swept his entire team same as before. We even ended up with about half of our health again. Maybe if he fought all the trainers on the ship, then he'd have been ready for me. Against Misty in the water gym, I tried using Pursuit against Starmie, but it was out-healing me, just for us to land a crit and win anyway. Well, I figured if we didn't crit, then Pidgeotto probably could have overpowered it with Wing Attack. That's been happening a lot as of late. Now we're going into the electric gym. It starts with Voltorb versus Golbat, and although we were absolutely going to win the exchange, he used a super potion, so we ended up fainting, and ended up having to send in Fearow to finish it off with Fury Attack. Pikachu went down right after to Fury Attack as well, but his static ability paralyzed Fearow, so I switched to Pidgeotto for Raichu. Quick Attack was paying off early as we got paralyzed with static right away, but at least we got to keep going first. Shockwave brought us to just above red health, but thanks to him using Double Team that never helped him dodge, we got enough hits in to take him out. Alright, we're on the road again. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with our team so far. Yeah, it's real lopsided, and Pidgeotto and Fearow basically fill the same role on the team, but we're still making pretty good progress. Plus, we just have to beat Giovani on the rival before we get more Pokemon. Let's go deal with the grass gym first. It is a flying run after all. So, because Farfetch'd is a traded Pokemon, it gets tons of extra experience. Just switch training it in the entire way through Rock Tunnel and then teaching it Fly and having it sweep all the grass trainers in the grass gym was enough to get it to hit level 28, tied for the highest on our team. Unfortunately, it got shut down by Stun Spore really early on, so Pidgeotto ended up having to do most of the work. Really, she never stood a chance because our whole team had super effective moves, but she still put up a really good fight in spite of that, thanks to all the status afflictions. When we beat her, we got the TM for Giga Drain, and believe it or not, Golbat can learn it. That'll be our only grass move on the team, so I learn it right away. Well, it's not that often that we do the grass gym before Giovani and the rival, but I guess a flying run is the time to do it, right? Plus, that got us Giga Drain, and I figure that that'll be great against Giovanni's rock and ground types. It should make him pretty trivial, and after that, we'll probably just take out our rival's team with Pidgeotto like the last 2 times. We're gonna be able to get a new Pokemon soon. So, Giovanni's ground types were obviously one-shots with Giga Drain, but Kangaskhan was actually pretty tough. It was hardly taking any damage from Wing Attack, so I used Sand Attack once early to get it to miss a few times. I thought Pidgeotto was gonna faint when we lucked out and crit to knock it out. I mean, we had 3 Pokemon left, so we couldn't have lost, but that was still great. The rival fight starts with a Pidgeotto mirror match, but we won pretty fast. We had a 5-level lead, but I get the feeling our stats are way higher since he went down so quickly. Next is Water Onix, so I let Pidgeotto take the attack down from Intimidate, then switch to Fearow to use Growl. Water Onix ended up getting confused from fatigue and hitting itself, so we got a chance to get some good hits in. We were about to finish it when crits took us down instead, so I sent in Pidgeotto to finish it off. Execute hardly hurt us at all before going down in a couple of wing attacks, and Kadabra was just a one-shot thanks to being way too frail. Last was Charmeleon, but it just used status affliction moves, so we won just fine. Alright, now that we can travel again, it's time for another Pokemon. I went ahead and caught Doduo. I love this thing. Once it evolves, it's gonna be more or less on par with a Pidgeot or Fearow, but it learns some really cool moves like Tri-Attack. Plus, it gets Drill Peck, which is slightly better than Pidgeotto's Wing Attack. It won't get it for a long time, though. I went ahead and grabbed the TM for Steel Wing while I was in the Safari Zone, although I'm not totally sure who I want to use it on yet. Maybe I'll wait and see if anyone on the team ends up with an attack nature. I mean, Farfetch'd is adamant, but it's also the weakest Pokemon on the team, so I'm not sure it's the best candidate. Well, this is a bit surprising. I tried the Poison Gym a bunch of times, but could never get past the Muck right at the start. Not only does it hit pretty hard, but it just spams Minimize and Acid Armor every time, and Koga always heals it with a Hyper Potion. On my best attempt, Tri-Attack paralyzed it right away, but it didn't matter because he just kept spamming Minimize and Acid Armor. Eventually, the whole team just became useless against it. I think I have to come back later. That means we're doing Silph Co early. Kinda lame since there's a Pokemon we need to beat Koga before we could get, and I was planning on leveling it up in here, but I'm sure we'll be fine in the end. I kinda want to do the rival battle in here after we've got some levels, since I actually think we could stand a chance. Muck was only stalling us thanks to him being very tanky and having two very specific moves. The rival fight here is typically hard, but we've also had a pretty easy time with our rival fights in this game for the most part. We're a bit of a low level, but maybe after clearing out some trainers, we could actually win this fight. Right away I used Tri-Attack with Dodrio to fight Pidgeot. We took it out, but we lost most of our health from the back and forth. Really not a good start. Water Onix is next, so I sent in Golbat to use stuff like Confuse Ray and Giga Drain, but the Confuse Ray didn't last and Giga Drain hardly hurt. We ended up getting really lucky with Confusion on the second Confuse Ray though, and it ended up pretty much taking itself down. Out to Pidgeot for Execute, and we thankfully dodged Stun Spore so nothing happened to us as we took it out. Alakazam is second from last, but we just one-shot it and last is Charizard. Now you want to see some pure agony? We have a full team of mostly healthy Pokemon, and he just outsped and one-shot our whole team. The only one that was faster than him was Dodrio, who couldn't get a one-shot, and the only one who couldn't get one-shot was Pidgeot, who couldn't finish him off. That was brutal. Okay, back to the Poison Gym. The first coughing goes great just by using Dodrio's heavy-hitting moves, and next is Muck. Now, I've lost a million times thanks to him building up evasion and defense early. We were hitting hard when he dropped us to half health and poisoned us with Sludge. That's when we lucked out and crit a Tri-Attack to take him out early. Nice. Coughing right after managed to finish off Dodrio and then blow up on Golbat, so we're real hurt. Last is Wheezing, and we confuse it right away. He tries using a full heal, so I just hit an Air Cutter and then confused him again. Golbat didn't last super long, but then I sent in Pidgeot and landed with the wing attacks. Between the constant attacks and his confusion, we ended up winning with most of the team still standing. Okay, now that we can use Surf outside of battle, we can go to Cinnabar Island, and that means we have access to the Pokemon Lab. So I go ahead and I pick up the old Amber from Pewter, then I revive Aerodactyl, the last Pokemon I want on our team. Sassy Nature is more special defense and less speed, so I'm not really sure if that's going to help us at all, but it's still an incredibly strong Pokemon overall. Only level 5 when I revive it, but I'm sure that I could catch it up in levels incredibly fast just by switch training on the high level routes, then having it take over the fighting once it's able to. I'm going to grind this thing up to at least level 35 or so, then we can give the Fire Gym an early try. I doubt we'll win, but it's still worth a try. You know what, I kind of assumed we'd lose, but as soon as Aerodactyl caught up in levels to everyone else, it was really easy. I lost the first try to getting burned off Fire Blast, but on the second try, it was fine. Fire Blast is enough to either one-shot or nearly one-shot most of our team, but as long as I switch into something else when Arcanine comes out so that I can reset the attack debuff on Aerodactyl, then we win just fine. I made sure to use the TM we got for Fire Blast on Aerodactyl right away so that we get more type coverage. Okay, so we're back at Silph Co's rival fight, and it was actually really easy this time. Just adding Aerodactyl to the team has worked wonders for getting past the Pokemon that would normally be a brick wall for most of our team. Not a single Pokemon on our team even came close to fainting. It really seems like as we get farther into the run, Aerodactyl and Dodrio are leading the team, mostly because those negative attack natures on Pidgeot and Fearow seems to really be holding them back, at least in terms of dealing enough damage. Giovani right after was easy as always, although the Nidoqueen at the end lasted quite a while. We don't have any great moves to take it down, and we get poisoned, so we take a lot of damage, but we still have a full team, so we really couldn't have lost. Aerodactyl's gonna sweep the Psychic Gym, right? Well, I was almost right. We were slightly too weak to one-shot Mr. Mime, but it was still all really easy. So the Ground Gym is all that's left before the rival fight. Isn't it weird how close together these Giovani fights tend to be? So the Ground Gym was easy as expected, although it was the longest Giovani fight yet. Nidoqueen and Nidoking are both pretty tough compared to the rest of his team, and managed to deal a lot of damage, but again, it was mostly just because of poison damage over time. We still had a full team and easily could have sent in other Pokemon to finish them off if Aerodactyl went down. I taught Aerodactyl Earthquake after the fight now that we have the TM, so that's a ground move that we have now. Wow. So I figured this rival fight would be a close one, since it's usually a pretty difficult fight. But not only did not a single one of our Pokemon faint, but only one of them even came close. The one member of his team that put up a fight was Alakazam, and that's just because Psychic hits so hard. Other than that, we hardly got scratched. Alright, so last bit of travel until the Elite Four. I'm a bit surprised that our levels aren't higher considering how lopsided our team is, but Golbat, Dodrio, and Aerodactyl are really pulling their weight. Pidgeot, Fearow, and Farfetch'd have slowly just become decent backup for finishing things off or taking hits when we need to buy time. I do get the feeling I'll be using them a little bit more soon though, since I'm replacing Aerodactyl's wing attack with Dragon Claw now that we have the TM. Feels weird to have no flying move on it, but I figure that having a dragon move might save us in the Lance fight. Plus, Dodrio doesn't learn Drill Peck for a few more levels, so it doesn't have a flying move either right now. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our team. Well, it's not bad, but I could see the Elite Four being an issue. Lorelei's ice moves are probably going to be a serious problem, and I could see the Agatha fight being rough too, but it's the Pokemon Champion that I think we're really not ready for. Maybe by the time we get there, I'll have leveled up enough to make this possible. I went ahead and threw Steel Wing on Pidgeot just for the type coverage. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Ice Trainer Lorelei. Yeah, so Dugong right at the start can one-shot most of our team with Ice Beam. I mean, I guess I should have seen that coming. We're like 10 levels lower than her. Okay, I'm gonna go do a big grind for effort values on some of the Pokemon who for sure aren't maxed out, and then I'll try and get the team to about level 50. Then we'll make some real tries. Alright, this took a lot of tries to figure out. Right away, Dugong goes down in 2 easy hits of Ancient Power, and we come out with full health thanks to it just using Safeguard. Cloyster is next, and its insane defense is usually a problem, so I had Golbat use Giga Drain on it. I was able to set up Hail and Spikes, but eventually we got that second Drain to take it out. Man, Cloyster loves spamming Protect. I stayed in to keep using Giga Drain against Slowbro. The first one was a crit, but Ice Beam did about 100 damage to us, so we just did what we could before fainting and letting Dodrio jump in. I went to finish it when she healed back up and we weren't hitting hard. We actually ended up getting frozen, defrosting with Tri-Attack, burned Slowbro, then fainted. Aerodactyl was able to finish it off just fine. Jinx would probably have been a disaster if not for how it was a one-shot, and last was Lapras, who just confused us but then didn't hit us, so we took it out in 2 hits of Ancient Power. What a crazy fight. Second is fighting Trainer Bruno. Of course, this fight was pretty easy, although I did forget to use an Ether before the fight, so we didn't have enough Giga Drains for the second Onix. I thought it was Steel Wing for a little while before remembering that I can just use Earthquake on Aerodactyl, and then that went much better. I think it took longer to fight that one Onix than it did to fight his entire rest of his team. Third is Ghost Trainer Agatha. Right away we hit 2 Drill Pecks to wipe out Gengar before it could build up too many double teams, then switched out to Aerodactyl to shoot down Golbat with Ancient Power easily. We even got the full stats boost from it, that's awesome. Arbok was next, so we got the attack cut, but that's fine thanks to the boost. We just hit Earthquake twice to take it out. Back to Dodrio to take out Haunter between Drill Peck and his own Curse, and I stay in to fight Gengar, forgetting that I should have switched because of Curse. First turn we fall asleep, wake up, hit a huge Drill Peck, then fall asleep again. Once we were asleep we got taken out fast, so we're out to Golbat. Right away, Hypnosis misses and we're spamming Air Cutter. It didn't take long before we got put to sleep though. This one Gengar fight ended up taking ages because she kept putting us back to sleep, using Nightmare, we'd wake up and get a hit, then she'd heal and put us to sleep again. It took forever, and we had to send in Fearow, but eventually we did get the win. Fourth is Dragon Trainer Lance. Right away, Water Onix is putting up a huge fight, but a lucky critical Tri-Attack nearly takes him out and forces him to use a full restore early. We got him back down to half health before going down to a Hyper Beam and sending an Aerodactyl to finish it with Ancient Power. Next is his Aerodactyl, so I sent in Pidgeot to try Steel Wing. It really wasn't doing much though, and we just went down in 2 hits, so I had to send in Golbat to try and confuse it. We still went down super fast, and finally sent in our own Aerodactyl to hit an Ancient Power as he was hitting himself. That got us a knockout and a full stats boost. I used that to Dragonclaw Dragonair down in 2 hits, but not before getting paralyzed and hurt a bit. The second Dragonair did more to us thanks to Dragon Rage, but still went down in 2 hits. Last is Dragonite, and this is another one of those fights where we are throwing everything we have at him, and it isn't much. Aerodactyl was too messed up to last long, Fearow did some alright damage but could never finish him, and Farfetch'd was just a one-shot with Hyper Beam. We were so close in the end. It's fine, we're 10 levels lower than his ace. We'll just catch up to his level a little bit more. Okay, about 5 levels later on the team. Water Onix goes pretty well, although Dodrio did get very hurt, and Aerodactyl only managed to make one of our Pokemon faint this time before we just sent in our own to finish him off. The first Dragonite took ages to take down thanks to all the healing items, but we actually managed to take it out with a Fearow. And although it went down quickly to the second Dragonair, Aerodactyl could easily finish it off with Dragonclaw and Earthquake, plus a little confusion luck. We are finally back at Dragonite. The strategy is still the same of just throwing our whole team at it one by one until it goes down, and it was extremely close as Aerodactyl almost fainted early in the fight. But we had a speed advantage and could land an Ancient Power after his health was already low to finish him off. Finally, the Pokemon Champion. Of course, we start off with Aerodactyl to deal with Pidgeot, and we actually got the full stats boost on Ancient Power. Lucky. Unfortunately, we took a Sand Attack, so although we took him out and got a second stats boost, we've got to switch to remove the accuracy penalty. Next is Water Onix, so I sent in Farfetch'd to take the attack debuff, hit some moves, and faint. Hey, his Slash actually crit for quite a bit of damage though. Aerodactyl was able to easily come in and finish it off with Ancient Power, but it took quite a few tries. He loves healing. Out to Golbat for Giga Drain on Rhydon, and it actually took 2 hits. It's fine. All he used was Scary Face and Takedown, so it wasn't too bad. Aerodactyl's next, so we just overpower him with Dodrio, but he managed to use Reflect early. We still took him out, but not before taking a massive hit from Psychic. Executor was next, and we hit 1 Drill Peck, went down to Egg Bomb, sent in Pidgeot, Reflect wore off, then we took him out just fine with a couple hits of Wing Attack. You know, after we took a nap for a few turns. Last is Charizard, so right away I went for Sand Attack, just to get taken out from almost full health with Fire Blast. That's not good. Out to Golbat, who was a one-shot, then out to Fearow, who was faster, did a bit of damage with Drill Peck, nearly got one shot, and landed another Drill Peck before going down. Thanks to all that damage, our last Pokemon Aerodactyl was able to come in, outspeed him, and finish him off with Ancient Power. I love when we win at a lower level than them. That was yet another really fun team run. I've been loving these type and version exclusive runs recently. It's been really nice to use full teams again. Solo runs are fun, but team runs let us try things that we don't normally get to try, and that usually makes for some really fun play sessions. I hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon Challenge will be up next Saturday like usual, with Pokemon Red with only water types. Why not go right into another type exclusive run? They're really fun. As always, I'm looking forward to your suggestions in the comments in the challenge request section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Now, I don't want to forego the ad-lib outro because everybody really likes it, and I like it too. Although technically it's really bad for my channel because the audience retention during the outros is really bad, so if I make the outro really long and basically no one's listening to it but me and the, like, I don't know, 30% of you, 20% of you who watch this outro bit, if I make that bit really long, then that lowers my audience retention and will mean YouTube will promote my video less. But I really like the ad-lib outro, so I'm just gonna keep doing it anyway, because it's fun. But I gotta cut this one short this time. I gotta cut this one real short this time, because I was up until like 6 in the morning last night working. Or rather, I was up until like 4 working, and I didn't sleep until 6, because I couldn't sleep. So I was up super late working, and then I wake up today super late, of course, and I haven't had any food yet. And I gotta rush to do this voiceover, because I can just tell I'm definitely getting sick. So I gotta get this voiceover done before I'm more sick. So it's a Friday though. It's entirely likely that if I do get sick, my voice will be so bad by the time I do the next voiceover. So who knows? You might have a very hoarse Mah-Dry-Bread voicing over that water type run. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go make myself something to eat. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.